Hello humans, it's just Martine, and today I'm here in my most festive bass guitar sweater in order to play TBR Crime Holiday Heist. TBR Crime is my bi-monthly TBR game where I move around a board, solving a little crime, finding clues, taking steps to do things, and read books based off of my very silly prompts. Originally, my TBR game was based off of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You don't have to have ever seen the show to enjoy the game. And one of my favorite things about Brooklyn Nine-Nine is that every Halloween, they did a Halloween heist. And personally, I love a heist. It's one of my favorite types of stories. So much so that when I first started devising a TBR game, I initially wanted to do a heist TBR game. So Holiday Heist is the perfect opportunity for all of my dreams to come true. The idea is pretty simple. Instead of using my regular game board, I have a different game board that has slots for 12 hours because Blake Pradera has a 12-hour shift around the holiday season, and he and his squad mates are going to compete to see who can win this holiday heist. Whoever has the special object at the end of the 12 hours wins and is deemed the best detective and a super genius. Every hour, I will move around a randomized board to get either a red prompt. These are prompts that recommend a specific type of book, kind of like my normal TBR Crime prompts, or a green prompt, which have reading challenge prompts. In a second, I'm going to flip a coin to randomize those hours, and you'll see how they all lay out. But an hour will be either red or green. And so at the start of each hour of the game, I will pick a corresponding prompt, and then I will also pick a value card to determine how many cool points that prompt is worth. Because here's the thing. In order to determine who has the secret object at the end of the 12 hours, we need to see how many points we have. If Blake and I have 500 cool points by the end of the 12-hour shift, that means we are in possession of the secret object and we win the heist for the year. Now you might think 500 is a bit steep, and I agree. That's why I'm going to be using my cool points from the entire rest of the year to contribute to my score. You'll see more about that later. For now, just know I have my regular cool points for the year that I've been saving up, and then I'm going to earn cool points with these yellow cards every hour. Aside from pulling a prompt every hour, I also have to pull a plot twist card. That will do something random to the game. You'll have to watch me play to see what that's like. If I do not like a plot twist card, one time per game, I can use a flashback token and cleverly find a way to come up with a story around it, as any good heister has. Again, if I use this, you'll see what I mean. I am going to start the heist with one partner in crime. It could be any of my squad mates. Each has a potential advantage, so I'll randomly select that in a minute, and we'll get going. So, the order of business goes. I will pull my initial teammate, my initial ally. I will randomize the board, and then it will be time to move into the first hour of the heist and pick our first prompt. Let's select my ally. I'm nervous about this. Okay, I'm gonna go with the one on the top right now. It's Teresa Capaldi. Her advantage is that she's a social butterfly, so I'm going to randomize an hour, and at that time, I'm going to manage to persuade someone else to become my ally and lend me their advantage until the game's end. So I have to randomize an hour between 1 and 12, and then we'll set up this game board. Okay, so literally in the 11th hour, I will be able to persuade someone to become my ally and lend me their advantage. I guess we'll see what happens in the 11th hour. Speaking of 11 hours, let's go randomize our game board. In order to do that, I'm going to flip this quarter 12 times. Flip is very vague here. Throw it around some is more like it. If it lands on heads, we'll put a green that hour. If it lands on tails, we'll put a red. Fun fact, this is the quarter I bring to Aldi every week to get a shopping cart. Okay, without further ado, hour 1. Tails. Hour 2. Tails. Hour 3. Heads. 4. Heads. 5. Heads. 6. Tails. 7. Heads. 8. Tails. 9. Heads. 10. Heads. 11. Heads. And 12. Heads. Here it is. We started hour 1 down here, so I put hour 1 closest to you, but it's not going to be ideal, kind of no matter what we do. Okay, here's Blake, and we're ready to move to hour 1. So for hour 1, we're picking a red prompt. I shuffled this before I turned on the camera, but there, we'll just move them around some, and whatever is the first prompt here is going to be the first prompt for TBR Crime Holiday Heist. I'm nervous. Okay, let's go. Ooh, interesting. To get through this hour, I have to read a book with an illustrated cover. And that is going to be worth how many points? 30. Not bad. Okay, so for 30 points, read an illustrated cover. What's the plot twist, though? Oh, let me beep-a-doop-boop. Some of these are good, some of these are bad. So the plot twist for hour 1. Oh. I'm going to bribe my way in. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm bribing my way in, and I'm going to forfeit 5 points. So instead of 30 points, this will be worth 25. So let's go find a book with an illustrated cover and read it so I can get a move on and get through all 12 hours and hopefully win the holiday heist. Go team. I went ahead and read a book with an illustrated cover. I read The Cuddle Claws, which very much has an illustrated cover, and in fact, that was the entire reason I wanted to read this book, is I looked at that cover and I was like, ooh, cute. I feel like mistakes were made because I'm giving this book 2.5 stars. The concept was there to draw me in, right? Like, the pitch for this book felt spectacular. We have 2 people, they're becoming roommates, one is a werewolf, and he's also neurodivergent, and I was like, yes. And there were things that I liked about this book. Then there was the rest of it. The writing for this was very choppy from a flow pacing perspective. I felt like in the middle of chapters, things like changed and moved around. I feel like our characters were inconsistent throughout the whole book. It felt like on the one hand, they wanted to be messy, real humans, and on the other hand, they wanted to be these prototypical romantic heroes in a sense. And I'm not sure that vision ever solidified into whole actual humans. It felt like sometimes they were this and sometimes they were that, but I don't feel like we ever got the reality of all at once-ness about it. I also feel like the representation in here, like the author's note didn't mention anything about their experience with the representation for autism spectrum disorder because that's explicitly named in the book. And again, that felt like an on-off switch of like, it's convenient for the plot here, so our character is going to have sensory sensitivities. It's not convenient for the plot here, so in this moment, they don't have any. And as a person with sensory sensitivities, that did not feel like my life at all. And maybe somebody's like that, where like in some contexts it bothers them, in some it doesn't. But there are some things that always bother me, and I felt like Roman, our neurodiverse character, was inconsistent with that. And in that way, he didn't feel like a true neurodivergent character. Like, I've read characters in other books that even before they were labeled in any way, I was like, I see it in you. It's this constant thing about how your brain works. This was not that. And so it just felt like he was neurodivergent for the plot instead of it being a fundamental, deep down, true, real part of him, which bothered me. The werewolf world also didn't feel fully fleshed out. Like, we didn't get any truth about what it means to be a werewolf in this context, in this book. He was like, I'm a werewolf, and when I shift, then I have sensory sensitivities. And like, that was pretty much it. They mentioned scent once, but that wasn't like a prevalent part of the plot, versus something like Wolf Song, where that's like a very big part of it is immediately this person smells differently than somebody else and yada yada yada. And so I feel like when you've read werewolves from that rich perspective, this just doesn't cut it. I rooted for their relationship insofar as the original ideals of them worked well together in my mind, but the reality of them on page didn't. And that had to do with the inconsistencies. Again, like, I could go where the author was going and see how they belonged together, but I don't think that was executed well for people who didn't see that idea. I almost never felt true chemistry between them, and the plot was just not good enough, in my opinion, for that to be the case. So 2.5 stars it was. Like, it was pretty compulsively readable. I read most of it in one day. I was fine flipping pages. I wasn't having like a terrible time reading it, but it just didn't hit. And there were things about the writing that, like, if I were a developmental editor in this, I would have changed. That's on that. But that's my illustrated cover. And between the card pull for 30 points and the plot twist of -5, that leaves us with 25 points towards the heist. So I guess now it's time to move on to hour 2. For hour 2, we're moving from this hour to this one. We're getting another red prompt. We'll see how much it's worth, and we'll get our plot twist. We'll start by shuffling our red cards. Okay, this top one is what we're going with. Actually, this works perfectly. I need to read a book by an author I've read from before. The reason this works perfectly is because Squash That series starts on Friday. So I have to read sequels anyway, so I will definitely get this done. But how many points is that going to be worth? Okay, this top card. I swear these are shuffled. Another 30-pointer. Let's get our plot twist of the hour. This is where everything could go wrong. Okay, this top card's what we're going with. Okay, double cross, question mark? We have to see if my ally betrays me. I was not prepared for this. All the names of the potential partners are in here. I'm going to give them a shuffle, then put them in this envelope, draw the first one out, and that's the person who we either gain as an ally, or if it's Teresa, she betrays us. Plus 10 points, we get a new ally because we get Kubrick and Geeth. Let's figure out what their advantage is. Their advantage is double trouble, double up, 2 red prompts, 1 time in the game. Oh, it would have been so nice if I had just read from an author that I read from before, but I didn't. I think what's going to happen here is I'm going to read the book that I'm planning to read for this round, and then later on, if one of my 2 red prompts goes with it, I can double it up. This is getting to be a lot to keep track of, but we've got this. It was all good news. Teresa did not betray us, and we got a new ally. Maybe we'll get to use their advantage. Maybe we won't, but they're with us all the same, and we got 10 extra points for that. I am here with absolutely abysmal lighting because it's nighttime, and I just like 1 minute ago, finished reading a book by an author that I've read from before for 30 points because I read Mate by Ali Hazelwood. For context, I read this for the first Squash That series prompt in the Squash That series Choose Your Own Adventure readathon round, which was to finish a series, and this is book 2 in a series. There have been no book 3s announced, so this is it for right now at least. Bailey said that counts, so that's what we went with. And I'm here to talk to you because I've been really bad at reviewing books right after I finish them lately. Like, I'll wait days and days to review them. But this one, it feels so crucial that I review it right this instant because I read it all today. All 6 hours and 13 minutes of it, read it today. And it's a 5-star read. So I want to capture my raw energy having just finished this book. Now, I don't want us to be alarmed when I talk about the premise of this book, because for the second book in this video, and in a row, this book involves werewolves. Not intentional at all. It's just kind of what happened. And I'm not sorry about it in this case because the last one was 2.5 stars, so I needed to redeem werewolves. So I did. I read this one, and it was 5 stars. Loved it. It's hard to talk about the setup of this book without giving spoilers for the first book in the series, which is Bride. So I guess I'll do like a recap of the whole series situation, which is that originally in Bride, we're following a vampire who agrees to an arranged marriage with a werewolf, but she is secretly trying to find her missing best friend through that arrangement. And so I really can't give you a heads up about the plot of this one and like which characters we're following, because we're following different characters, because those involve plot twists from the end of the first book. All I will say about the plot of this one is that we're following 2 fated mates who are definitely, like, they say they're not going to end up together. One is in terrible danger. The other is the alpha of a pack. So he's like, I'm going to make sure you're safe while this blows over, and obviously things go from there. This one was so much more actual werewolfy than the Cuddle Claws. There was just a lot more of the like actual werewolf content in it, which was a gripe that I had with the Cuddle Claws, so obviously I appreciated that this made up for that. If you're going to read about paranormal beings, you want the differences between them and humans to be a focal point of the story, and this absolutely was, especially because of who our main character is, which again I can't tell you, but like let me just say the difference between werewolves and humans is like a key part of this book. So I really appreciated that. It was all there. The tension, the stakes, the banter. It was so funny. I laughed out loud so many times. I just had the best time reading this book, to be honest. So super happy about that. Don't know if it's just because like that's what I was in the mood for at the time or what. I will say the one thing against this book, be aware that if you hate it when a main character faints at the end of every chapter, you will have a problem with this book, because more chapters than not ended with our character losing consciousness. For me, that worked in this case for this very specific reason, which is that it usually happened before actual fighting could happen in earnest, and so we saw very little combat on page, and my brain does not jive with fight scenes. And so I did not have to deal with reading extensive fight scenes because our character was unconscious. So it worked for me in that case. But yeah, I just had a silly, goofy, fun time reading this one, which is exactly what I was looking for originally from the Cuddle Claws. Absolutely did not get from that. So I got it from this instead. Hooray. The next thing to do is to pull out the board and move to hour 3. Okay, our very first step is to move from hour 2 to hour 3. Ta-da! And the next task is to figure out what the heck we're doing in hour 3. We have our stack of green cards here. I'm going to start by shuffling them and then picking our hour 3 challenge. Again, I feel so much fear. As a reminder, green cards are reading challenge prompts, so not to pick a book, but to read in some specific way. It'll make sense once I pull my first one. So here they are, and I'm taking the one from the top and feeling so much fear. In the next 48 hours, I need to finish 2 books. Current reads do count, which is helpful. And it's also helpful that it's a Friday night. This is still, okay, I'm still a little freaked about this, but I could be in a worse situation. Like, it could be a Tuesday night when I'm pulling this, you know? So, like, we're fine. And also, Squash That series is happening, so the motivation to read is there. But how many points are on the line for finishing that? This is not what I wanted to happen. Okay, only 15 points. That's, I think, the lowest value possible in this stack of yellow cards, so that's not great. And let's pick our plot twist for the hour. Okay, this could have gone worse because it says plan foiled, pull a second point value card and take the lower this round, and we already pulled a 15, so I was like mentally expecting a low point value number, so I guess we'll pick the next one and not get to use that. Let's see. Okay, our second one was 25, so that plan is foiled and we're stuck with the 15 points. But again, that could be worse. I was mentally prepared for the 15 points anyway, so plan was only mildly foiled, question mark. Let's get to reading for hour 3. Forgot to mention that it's November 7th and it was 8:30 p.m. when I filmed that clip, so that's when the 48 hours began. It's less than 24 hours later. It's Saturday afternoon, almost 2 p.m., and I just finished Finley Donovan Digs Her Own Grave. So one of my 2 books for this challenge done. Hooray. I gave that one 4 stars. Had a good time with it. It was fun. It's unclear to me whether the second book that I finish for this prompt or challenge will be for Squash That series or for something else, because I'm less than 2 hours away from the end of the Shelf This book club book for the month of November. But also, the book that I have to read for my next prompt in Squash That series is only 287 pages, although it is a physical read, so like, we'll see. Point is, 1 down, 1 to go. It's Sunday, just past noon, and I finished my second book. I read all of A Question of Homes between last night and this morning, which means I successfully completed this challenge of finishing 2 books in a 48-hour time span. It's time for hour 4. So let's set that up and see what happens. Hour 4, which is another reading challenge, which going into the beginning of a week is scary. Don't love that. Felt a lot better when I was going into a weekend doing that. So I guess we'll give these a shuffle and pick our next challenge. Okay, so actually this is the perfect challenge to go into the week with. I don't have to rush to finish anything, but the challenge is to add a book a day until my currently reading is at 10. My currently reading is at 2. So we've got a ways to go because I will be finishing those books. So it's not like in 8 days I will complete this challenge. We will see what happens, but today is going to be day 1 of that, and I'm going to start my next Squash That series book, which is Eclipse, the 3rd book in the Twilight Saga. So that's how I'm going to start this, but let's see how many points that challenge is going to be worth. It's worth 20 points. We are getting the lower end of these points. I swear there are more points available in this. Let's figure out our plot twist for the hour. Okay, so we're going with the top card. Whew. No plot twist this hour. Happy reading. I will happily add books to my currently reading for however long it takes. Let's get it. A couple days have passed and I wanted to update you on where I am. Before I started, my currently reading was at 2 already. So I was like, that's helpful because it needs to get to 10. So like not starting at 0 is good. And so I started my book the day that I got the challenge, bumped up my currently reading to 3. You'd be like, you're on track. Great. The next day, started another book. Good. Currently reading up to 4, making some progress. The next day, I started another book. Somehow my currently reading was still 4 because I finished a book. Oops. And then the next day, I started a book, but then my currently reading was down to 3 because I finished 2 books. Not the goal. Anyway, yesterday I started a book and my currently reading is back up to 4. If this was a regular start a book a day challenge, would be perfect. But in this one, we're trying to get up to 10. And so like I need to not be actually finishing books. Now I had good reasons for finishing the ones I finished already. One is a book club book. It was going to get returned to the library and I did not want to be stuck in Kindle jail. And then the other 2 were for Squash That series. They finished off my round of Squash That series Choose Your Own Adventure. So they were timely because the readathon ends this upcoming weekend. So I wanted that done. Now I have no reason why I should be finishing books before my currently reading gets up to 10. No reason. So it better progress as the days progress because I do not have the time to go and go and go with this one challenge because we're on hour 4, okay? There are still 8 hours after this and it's November 14th. So we need to get moving. And already only being at 4 right now instead of higher than that is like stressing me out about how slow we're going. Also, my hair is stressing me out because what is she doing this morning? So today I'm going to start a book. Am I currently reading at the end of the day? It better be 5, okay? And we'll just continue from there. I'm here on November 19th because this morning I started a book. And once I started that book, my currently reading reached 10 books. After my issue at the beginning, I no longer had that issue. I just wasn't finishing books. I kind of switched between books as I went along, and now I'm at around 30% in every single one of these 10 books and no further. So that's great. Hopefully the challenge that I pick next is kind to me in that regard. So what that means is 4th hour is done. We have earned our points, and it is time to move on. So moving from the 4th to the 5th hour, here's what our points look like right now, to the 5th hour, and looking into the future. It's another green spot, so another reading challenge, and this could get tricky fast because I'm traveling in the next couple of days and won't be available for much reading. Like, I'll be in Disney on Friday, I will not be reading. I'm scared particularly about the 24 and 48 hour challenges in here, so we'll just have to see what happens. We'll start by picking a green card. You know the drill by now. Okay. This challenge is to read a book in a day. It has to be over 300 pages. This does not have a rule as to when that day has to be, just that I have to read a book in a day and it has to be greater than 300 pages. So all things considered, this is not a bad challenge. It also, by the way, doesn't need to be a book that I have to give you a review for. I just have to read it in a day and then tell you that I read it in a day. So it will probably be another 12 TBRs book because I won't have the space to be giving myself extra books when it's a reading challenge, not a book challenge. Anyway, let's see how many points that's worth. Sorry. The top one was this, 35. Oh, it seems like the one right after that was 35 too. So either way, 35, which is not the best, but not the worst. So 35 points to read a book in one day. What will the plot twist be for hour 5? Fear. Okay, yikes. Basically, this is time crunch. Our next red challenge we have to complete in 48 hours, or we only get half the points for that round. So technically, this could have worked for the green prompt of read a book in a day, but it is about the next red challenge, which is scary. So I'm gonna have to time that right so that I read the book in a day at a time where in the next 48 hours, I'll be able to read my next red prompt in one day, because hour 6 is a red prompt. So this we will have to do in 48 hours or less. That's the rule. So this plot twist doesn't technically affect this hour because it's green hour, but it affects the next hour, which is fine. It's actually fine because it's November 19th, and the number of days between now and when this episode has to come out, they're disappearing. And so giving a time crunch, totally okay with me. It's fine, I just have to be strategic about it. So for hour 6, I need to do that in 48 hours, but this current green prompt to read a book in a day doesn't have to happen in a 48-hour time span from now. It will in fact happen in less than 48 hours once I get around to it, because it's one day. Let's get that done. Alrighty, ignore the mattress behind me. But it is Monday. Nope, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday on the week of Thanksgiving, and today I read a 320-page book for my hour 5 challenge of reading a book that's over 300 pages in one day. It was for something else, but I did read it today. That means we get our points, and it's time to move on to hour 6. After hour 6, we will be halfway through the holiday heist. So Blake is ready to move from hour 5 to hour 6. And of course, we will be picking a red card. This next red card has to be completed within a 48-hour time period because of the plot twist that we got last hour. We'll have to keep that in mind as we pick a book. Although in my back pocket, Kubrick and Geith can help me if either the Cuddle Claws or Mate fulfill this prompt. I could do it in, right now, 1 minute and call that good and get my time crunch out of the way, because I can double up 2 of my red prompts this game. So that's obviously my hope, but if not, I should have plenty of time in the next 2 days to read a book, because I read a whole book today, so like, why not? I feel fear. Ooh, a cover read. I feel like I can definitely count the Cuddle Claws for the cover read, because I saw the cover and I was like, that's it. That's the book. I want to read that book. I want to find a place to slot it in. And so I did. That was absolutely a cover read. And I'm not sorry about it, that I'm going to use this as my chance to double up and move on to my next hour. So I can say that my 48-hour time crunch obliterated, handled that plot twist fine, and we'll move on to the next hour after we see how many points this is worth and the plot twist. I'm so excited that I get to count a book I've already read, because I still have so many books to read for 12 TBR. So, one less book to read. Okay, I get 20 more points for reading the Cuddle Claws as my cover read. Thanks to Kubrick and Geith for that. Ooh, interesting. So it says ninja mode unlocked. Next round, draw 2 event cards and choose your preference, which is very helpful, actually. The event cards are the red and green cards. So for hour 7, I will pick 2 event cards, 2 green cards, and select the one that I prefer, which I love that. Hour 6 behind us, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's prep. I don't even have my green cards out. I wasn't expecting this, actually. Let's flip you around and move from hour 6 to hour 7. Hour 6 moves to hour 7, which means it is time to pick a green card. Well, actually, I get to pick 2 and then choose my preference. So here are the green cards. Let me shuffle them. Thanks to my ninja mode, here's my first option, and here's my second one. So the first option is that I cannot continue until I've finished the longest book I'm currently reading. The longest book I'm currently reading is 700 pages, and I'm about 300 pages in. Oh, it seems like that was an option twice, and my shuffling was not good. So these are my 2 choices. I get to pick my favorite one. Listen, in the spirit of the game, maybe I should pick an actual second option and let myself choose, but sometimes ninja mode does not go as planned. So the universe wanted me to make my prompt this hour that I cannot continue until I've finished the longest book I'm currently reading. Since Holiday Heist is going to be my last 12 TBRs video, I should, without a problem, be able to tell you about the longest book that I'm currently reading. It's The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I'm this far in, and it's for my big book problem video. I don't know what the title is of that yet, but the point is that I'm in the middle of this, and I have not been prioritizing it lately. So this is the kick in the butt I need. 35 points. We still haven't seen one of my 50 pointers, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm excited about this. Our plot twist for this hour is that we're doubling down on our plan. So I'm supposed to draw 2-point value cards this round and add them together for the total number of points that I'll get. Holiday Heist is smiling down on me. I'm doubling down on this plan because it's working out for me so far. We had an idea. We're going for it. So I'm picking the next point value card. I'm not going to shuffle them again. And I get 40 more points for a total of 75 points once I complete this challenge of finishing the longest book that I'm currently reading. Wow. Hour 7 has really been something. I'll get reading and I'll let you know when I'm done The Name of the Wind. In the last 3 days, I spent 8 hours and 24 minutes of my time reading and finishing The Name of the Wind. My review for this is in a totally different video. You can check it out here, but this fits my reading challenge of finishing the longest book I was in the middle of. I misspoke when I talked to you last. I said I was about 300 pages in. I was 225 pages in, so even less than I thought. But for the past 3 days, I've been zooming. I read a little on the first day after receiving my challenge. I read a lot yesterday to set myself up for success. I basically read until it would take me less time to finish today than I had read yesterday. And then I finished today on Thanksgiving, which does mean it's time to move into the 8th hour of our heist. Hour 7 was a success. We're moving on to hour 8, which is not only a red prompt, but it is the last red prompt of the heist. I have my red book prompts right here. Okay, I need to read a book by an author who goes by their first initial. What this means is, like, I couldn't have read Name of the Wind for this because it's by Patrick Rothfuss instead of P. Rothfuss. $30 points, so pretty middle of the pack. I'm fine with that. Hooray, no plot twist. Happy reading this hour. Let's go read our book with a first initial author. Okay, I've looked through my options and I think I know what I'm going to do, but I just want us to take a moment to acknowledge how easily I could read yet another book in this vlog that involves werewolves. My third one for the vlog, because I could easily read Brother Song by TJ Klune. But I'm not going to. I am instead going to read an arc. A.B. Jackson uses their first initial in their author name. So I read Stolen Moments by A.B. Jackson for this prompt, and I'm giving it 3.5 stars. A couple things here before I tell you what it's about and my thoughts about it. This is a book that I got from NetGalley. It comes out in January of 2026, I think January 20th. So shortly after you see this video, this book will go out to the whole world. I mentioned something about my review to my friends the other day, and Danielle wanted this book recommendation. So Danielle, listen up. This is the book I was talking about when I said I read a romance with a cliffhanger. This is a romance book. It has some of my favorite tropes about it. It's about a celebrity musician and this random guy. I love musicians as main characters, especially in romance books for some reason, like the touring artist. That's a great trope for me. And so in this one, we're following Alexander Morgan, and he's like the world's biggest guy. We're also following Christopher, and he's this random dude who is visiting London for his sister's wedding. And he happens to be visiting London for his sister's wedding the same week that Alexander Morgan is staying in London because he has 7 sold out shows at the O2 Arena. And they end up on the same floor of a hotel, which I'm not sure, but seems unlikely. And they run into each other in the elevator, and Alexander starts being smitten for Christopher because Christopher is being really sassy to Alexander's bodyguard. Like, Christopher does not care who Alexander is, has never heard of him, just wants to get to his hotel room, and the bodyguard is like protecting Alexander, and Alexander's so used to people fawning over him that when this dude has no idea who he is, doesn't care that he's famous, like could not care less, he is drawn in by him. And the two have a kind of will they won't they situation for the first third of the book, because Alexander is stupid busy, like absolutely burning the candle not only at both ends but at all 3 ends, and Christopher's there for his sister's wedding. So like they're passing ships in the night basically for a while in the book, and then we're following their relationship as they become more and more intrigued with one another. I have read a romance book that ends on a cliffhanger before, but it's not something I read often, and I'm not sure that it's something that I like in a romance book. I do love a happily ever after, and if you're not going to give me a happily ever after, I want you to give me closure about a sad ending. But just giving me a cliffhanger, not okay. And the second book is going to follow this same couple and see what happens to their relationship following the events of this book. But I read this book before it came out, and so it's going to be a while before the second book comes out, and when it does, I don't know how I'm gonna get access to it. And so that happening, I think, kept me at a 3.5 star. It was going to be a 3.5 star regardless. It's not like it being a cliffhanger ruined the whole thing, but I was just at 99% of the book walking somewhere, and I was like, how are they gonna fix this? And then of course they didn't. So that was upsetting, to say the least. My main problems with the book, like in general, it was fun, I had a good time, I enjoyed the characters that we were following, I enjoyed the situations they ended up in, hence a 3.5 stars. The issues that I had with it though, there were parts of it that were a little repetitive, especially I would say the like, they're getting closer, oh my gosh, something happens. They're getting closer, oh my gosh, something happens. And yes, that's kind of a thing in romance books, but like this, that was the whole thing in this book, was they were getting closer, they were backing off, getting closer, backing off in really dramatic ways. Like we'd have the end of the chapter be like, oh my gosh, you did this thing. And then the next chapter, they'd be like, oh yeah, and I overreacted about it and it's fine now. And so that was a bit annoying. I was not particularly rooting for them to be in a long-term sustained relationship because I felt like their communication with one another was terrible, and I felt like they both had things they should work on before they jumped into a committed relationship of any kind, especially with this dude they randomly met while they were not even at home. And yes, they happen to live in the same area normally, and so it's not like they would be long distance or anything, but just like you met this dude randomly and you're both going through a lot right now, and you kind of need to sort some of those things out, in my opinion. Okay, I know not everyone will agree with that, but it just made it really hard because I felt like they were hurting each other along the way because of the things they had not worked through yet. I also didn't understand really what drew them to one another. Like, I get the initial, oh, he doesn't care that I'm famous and everybody else won't shut up about the fact that I'm famous and treats me differently because of it, so I'm intrigued by him. But like, I'm not sure what they had in common. And there were even scenes where they were like, we barely know each other. Like, we don't know anything about each other. And then they just kept going, and like, I don't know. They just seemed not like a weird pairing, like they weren't terrible together, but just I didn't fully understand what was drawing them to one another, because you're going from, oh, I haven't dated somebody in forever, to suddenly feeling like very seriously about this one person, when I don't feel like you've had the time or conversations to justify that. And I'm not saying that you need to justify your feelings, but it just didn't make sense to me, is what I'm trying to say. So all of that to say, I had a fun time with it, but I did have my frustrations, and so 3.5 stars it was. And I'm mad at the cliffhanger, but at the same time, I would be interested in reading the second book. Like, the author's writing was fairly good, and so I would want to read more books from them in the future anyway, so I guess it works out. And that's on that, really. So I guess it's time to figure out our next reading challenge, because that was our last red square, our last red hour. So let's grab the board and see what we're doing. So we were here on hour 8, and we're moving to hour 9, which is a green event card. Okay, we're going with this one. Okay, it says that I cannot continue until I finish a book each day for 3 days in a row, and that the book can be a currently reading book. Like, I don't have to start and then finish a book every day for 3 days. Now, I'm of two minds about this. On the one hand, this was kind of my plan anyway. For the past 2 days, I've finished books, and it's been my goal to finish a book every day moving forward as long as I can, because I have so many books left for 12 TBRs and so little time left for 12 TBRs, because it's December 3rd right now. But also, I had the grace in the back of my mind of like, I can't make it happen one day, then it's fine. But I guess if that happens before we do that for 3 days, now I'm going to be restarting this challenge, which, interesting. And I guess the good news is that I'm at 60% of a book. I technically started it last night. I've read most of it today. So hopefully I'll finish that book today. But then the next 2 days, I don't have anything started that I could reasonably finish in those 2 days. So this should be interesting. Let's see how many points that's worth. 35 points. And then let's see the plot twist. Now, I'm very concerned about the plot twist, because I don't know where they all went, but these are all the plot twists that I have left. I have like 14 plot twists left, 4 hours to use them for. And there are some ones that are in here multiple times, and I'm like, I don't want those. So I guess we'll see what happens. This is another double cross card, so we have to put our names in the envelope and pull them out and see if we were double crossed. Kubrick and Geith can't double cross us because we pulled them out as allies from the double cross envelope, so they're not in there anymore, but we could still lose Teresa, which in this case, the worst part about that is that I would lose 50 points. I don't care about losing her advantage. Pulling out the next name. Okay, Jamie Soto. It's not minus 50, which is great. Plus 10 points means I'll get a new ally. So let's go get Jamie's card and see what our advantage is. Okay, I'm not sure I like Jamie's advantage. Her advantage is foresight. Randomize an hour, choose 2 plot twist cards, then select 1 to complete. So I'm not gonna go backwards and put the hours up for grabs that I've already done. So I guess I only have 3 hours to choose from in hours 10, 11, or 12. This could happen. And a reminder that we're already getting Teresa's advantage in hour 11 of a new ally. So hour 11 might be crazy if we get that for this. So I guess next hour, we will pick 2 plot twist cards and choose which one of them we want, which I will actually take. I like that. I feel like there's so much to keep track of in these next 3 hours of the game, but regardless, I'm gonna go finish a book every day for 3 days, and I'll talk to you then. It is Friday afternoon, and I'm here with the incredible news that on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I finished a book. So I have completed the hour 9 challenge, which is so exciting, especially exciting because I managed to do it in the 3 days from pulling the card. So I pulled the card Wednesday, Then I finished a book that day, finished a book Thursday, finished a book Friday. So it did not take me as long as I feared that it might. And if you were curious about the books that I finished, on Wednesday I finished Find Me by Alifair Burke, which is for Herkyed. On Thursday I finished Our Souls at Night by Kent Harif, which is for my Spotify video. And then today, just now, a couple minutes ago, I finished Can't Catch My Breath by Sarah Sutton, which is another book for Herkyed. That's 3, and we're moving on to hour 10. We're also amassing quite a horde of people helping us with this heist, because now we have us, Blake, Teresa, who's our original ally. We have Kubrick and Keith, who we pulled as allies, and then we have Jamie, who we pulled during our hour 9 plot twist. Quite a team, and that team is moving on to hour 10. We are approaching midnight, and I honestly have literally no idea how close or far away from 500 points we are right now. So that's terrifying for me in the present. That said, we're going to pick our challenge for this hour, and we're also going to pick 2 plot twist cards and choose our favorite one out of our small little stack, because Jamie is on our team and we randomized hour 10 for that. Okay, so the challenge is in the next 24 hours, which it's Friday at 3:26, we'll call it 3:30. In the next 24 hours, read 1.5 times the amount that I read yesterday, reading time-wise. I think I didn't actually read too much yesterday. Yesterday, I read 2 hours and 24 minutes, which could definitely be worse. And so 1.5 times 2 hours and 24 minutes is 3 hours and 36 minutes, which I definitely feel like I can do in the next 24 hours. So before 3:30 p.m. on Saturday, December 6th, I need to read 3 hours and 36 minutes, which also reminds me that I should take a screenshot of how much I've read today so that I can subtract how much I have from this moment on Bookly. Okay, I'm at 2 hours and 9 minutes so far today, so I will subtract that from the hours later after I finish reading for the day to see how much I've read since 3:30. Let's see how many points that will be worth. 25. Not the best, but not the worst. Okay, I'll take it, and then let's pull 2 plot twists and pick our fave. Our 2 options are another double cross, so pulling another name out of there and either getting a new ally or getting betrayed and potentially losing 50 points, or no plot twist this hour, happy reading. So I will be choosing no plot twist this hour, happy reading to me. Let's get reading so we can get our 3 hours and 36 minutes done. It is Saturday the 6th, right before 3 p.m. The Shelf This book club live show for November is going to start at 3, so I want to try to do this as quick as possible. I finished the challenge. I managed to read for 3 hours and 36 minutes in less than 24 hours. Last night I read 36 minutes, and then today by 1:30 I had read 3 hours. Hip hip hooray, we passed the hour 10 challenge. Hour 11 is scaring me for one particular reason. Teresa gets to be a social butterfly and recruit someone to our cause. However, there is a possibility that there's another betrayal card in the very thin stack of plot twist cards, and that we could immediately be betrayed by that person, so we would not be able to use their advantage, and we would lose 50 points, which I really don't need right now, because this is going to be a close game. So anyway, let's see what happens. We finished hour 10 and are moving on to hour 11. We'll start by picking our random new teammate. Teresa managed to bring them over to the dark side and join our heist team, which, as mentioned last hour, is growing considerably over time. So we're gonna go with this one. Sergeant Bobby Derrick is joining our team, and his strength is that he adds 5 points to each point value card. So for the next 2 hours, as long as he doesn't betray us, we could get 5 extra points per hour, which I need right now. So let's do that. More than anything else, I made a lot of green cards. So here's the one we're going with this hour. Oh no. Okay, it says I cannot continue until my currently reading is 0. Now, my currently reading is not ridiculous right now. It's only 2. However, one of those is a 750-page book that I'm not even 50 pages into. This is diabolical, but also this will be good because I need to finish that book, but also diabolical. So this will take probably a long time. So it's good it's the second to last hour because it's not like I'm going to read that book straight through. Like I'll probably read another book along the way. So we'll just have to see how this goes. But my currently reading right now is that I'm 5% of the way into Me Before You, and I'm 39 pages of the way into Winter's Tale. And out of those 2 books, we know which one is going to hold me up. Let's see how many points that's worth. Okay, it would be 25 points, but thanks to Sergeant Bobby Derrick, it's worth 30 points. As long as he doesn't betray us right here and right now, I'm terrified. Thank goodness. No plot twist this hour. Happy reading. Off I go. Wish me luck because I am not happy about this situation. This has actually set my reading back for 12 TBR's books quite a bit because I've just been working through this for the past 3 days, and I'm not at 0 books left. I have a Kindle book that I would work on in like the last couple minutes before I fell asleep while I was sitting there in the dark over these past 3 days, and so I'm like 25% of the way through that. So that will be my next focus, but this is done, which means that at some point tomorrow at the latest, I should be at a currently reading of 0, and the 12th hour can begin. I can feel it. The heist is almost over. Wow, we really are here in this moment. Today I finished the last book that I was currently reading. So here's a screenshot of my currently reading page on Bookly. It's actually called Want to Read, but that's where I put my currently reading books. And there's nothing on there. Currently reading to 0. Nothing on there. That means hour 11 is behind us. And we're moving on to the final hour of the heist, which I feel like is where things start to get really crazy in a heist. Like, things are crazy the whole way through a heist, but the last little bit of it, always a bit insane. Excited but nervous to see what the cards have in store for us in this 12th hour. Take a moment and officially move Blake to the 12th hour of the heist. I don't know what to expect. I'm not too scared. The next 2 days should not be particularly demanding life-wise. So if they're demanding reading-wise, that'll be okay. For instance, not tomorrow, but the day after, I'll be on the bus for 10 hours. So like, could be worse. I could be in a worse situation. I have been in a worse situation in other hours where I really needed the cards to be nice and thoughtful about what they gave me. And this time I'm just excited to see what we get. Still scared. Let me be clear, but a lot more excited. Okay, we got this again. I forgot I'd put it multiple times. This is maybe not what I would have wanted. I know I just said, like, I'm pretty much good with anything, but this is not my favorite to come up. So it says I cannot continue, meaning I can't finish the heist until I finish a book each day for 3 days in a row. I don't think I can count today's book that I finished because I finished it before I filmed this clip. The last time I did this, I finished the book after the clip. Because theoretically, if I could count the book that I finished today and then read one tomorrow and read one the day after, fine. Although that being said, with the 10-hour bus ride, if I just read a book tomorrow and then read a book on the bus and read most of another book, finishing it the day after should not be a big deal. So on second thought, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. Let's see how many points it's going to be worth, though. Please, a lot. I don't actually know how many points I'm at, so I don't know how far away I am from winning the heist, but I just know that I could use more points. Manifested. I was like, dang, we really haven't pulled a 50-pointer this whole time. Which, to be fair, I put less 50-point cards in the stack than like 15-point cards, but we got it. Now we just have to do the plot twist and hope it doesn't ruin everything. Although I do still have my flashback token if I need to use it, but I would prefer not to. No plot twist this hour. Happy reading. Let's finish this heist strong. There is still a huge chance I could not win the heist, but I cannot control that now. I've just got to get these 50 points and then see how things stacked up. I just remembered, actually, because of the friend who joined us last hour, Sergeant Bobby Derrick, this is not worth 50 points. This is worth 55 points. And with that, I'm going to get back to reading. I think I totally forgot to tell you that I did successfully complete hour 12 a couple days ago. So the day after I talked to you, I finished The Jesus Cow. And then the day after that, I finished The Legacy. And then after that, I finished Fellowship with Demons. So that was 2 Herkyed books and a Hunger Games book. And so I did it. I finished the heist. And now it's just time to find out if what we did was enough or if somebody else had a sneakier plan than us this year. I genuinely have no clue, and I am afraid. As with every great heist, the end of the heist is not the end of the heist. It's just the beginning of the big reveals. So I have some information that you don't know, and some information that you do have but might have forgotten. So we're going to start with this. Right now, where I'm sitting, after the 12th hour of the heist, I have 415 points, which puts me under the 500-point goal that would help me win the heist. What you do not know, however, though, is that back in hour 4, I was picking my plot twist card and something strange happened. So I'm going to go back and roll the footage because I have a grand reveal for you. This top card is our plot twist for the hour. It's upside down. Oh, I wasn't ready for this. Okay, so this is going to be near the end of the video because I got secret plan for grand reveal. So I have to complete a secret objective, which I actually never made the wheel for, but I have a list of challenges on that. So I'm going to put that wheel together and spin it and see if I can complete this objective by the end of the game. I can gain or lose 50 points by succeeding or failing at this, so it's a big deal. And the reason you're only seeing it now is because it says don't show this to the viewers until the end. That does mean I have to go back and film as if nothing happened in my plot twist. So let me find one of my smooth sailing cards, put it at the top, and then refilm this clip. I have my secret mission wheel. There are a variety of options. Some involve pulling another card. Some involve reading books with specific letters in the title. Some involve other 12 TBR's projects. I am scared, but here's my secret mission. Let's go. Okay, so this adds another book to this video, but to be honest, that could be way worse. So my secret mission is to pull a red card and have it finished by the end of the video. Here are my red cards. Let's give them a shuffle. A reminder that there's a lot riding on this prompt because if I do complete it before the end of this video, I get an extra 50 points. But if I don't, I lose 50. But I think we can get those 50 points easy. You know, when you're doing a heist and something just happens, things slip into place, you know you're in a good spot. Hopefully that's what this top card means right here. A book I haven't heard talked about. I sure can do that. I'm kind of an expert at this. Secret mission accomplished. I got the prompt to read a book in a day, and so I decided to read this book in a day, a book that I came across when I was scrolling on Libby, seeing what had been newly added. I looked at the cover. I was like, this looks really cute. I hadn't heard anyone talk about it. I put a hold on it impulsively, hoping I could slot it in somewhere soon. And sure enough, it is a book I've heard no one talk about before. So for my secret mission to read a book I've heard no one talk about before, I read Most Valuable Player, which I'm giving 4 stars. And I read that all today. This is a really heavy queer YA romance, but it's also super cute. And it's about the quarterback of a high school football team and the water boy of that high school football team. Our book starts from the perspective of the quarterback, and he's really arrogant, and he's like, I'm going to ask out this dude, and he's going to say yes because people always do. And of course, the other main character the water boy does not say yes. He's basically like, no way, no how am I dating you? Absolutely not. This is their story, which, yeah, super cute, but also, oh my gosh, so heavy. I've spent most of today so sad reading this book because it just covers some really heavy things. It covers grooming and abusive relationships, trauma, bullying, all of those things. So that just made this a really hard read. Even the cover is really cute. I do feel like the relationship between the two main characters was really cute by the end, but they had to sort through a lot of things throughout the book that were just really, really heavy. One thing that I really enjoyed about this book was that it talked a lot about masking and being a person who you think other people want you to be instead of being yourself. So both of our characters have gone through a lot, and both of them portray this image of quote unquote themselves to the world that they think people want them to be, or that they've been told people want them to be. And it's not really who they are. That's especially true of Cameron, the star quarterback. He was bullied a lot growing up, and once he switched schools, he decided, I'm just going to be this absolute caricature stereotype of a popular kid. Everyone's going to love me. I'm going to remake my life. And that's what he does as a defense mechanism. The person he is at the beginning, not the greatest person ever, and also not at all who he actually is. And so we're getting to see him learn that it's safe to be himself, not even just around the other main character, but maybe also in this new school as well. Maybe the people here are just going to like him for who he is. Meanwhile, our other main character, Mason, has had a very traumatic, emotionally abusive relationship in the past, and some physical abuse happening there, and he has not healed from that at all. In fact, his ex is still constantly bothering him. And so he's very closed off from the world. He's made to feel like everything is his fault, that he should be apologizing for everything, that he is the reason other people are mad and upset around him all the time, that nobody will ever love him, and that people don't want to be close to him. And so he has a really hard time letting people, especially people his age, in, because he's been purposefully isolated from his peers for so many years. I liked watching them work through all of those things together and really get into each other and see what the other person was actually about instead of maybe who they originally thought they were. And seeing them unmask around each other was just like a painful but beautiful process. I really loved this message that the author went for, that just because somebody treats you right doesn't mean you're instantly healed. Mason had a lot of trouble through the end of this book, even when he was with Cameron. Obviously, it's a happy ever after, okay? But he's still having a lot of trouble feeling secure and safe. And that's valid because of what he went through. And I love how the author emphasizes that that's okay that he feels that way, and that Cameron can do everything in his power to make Mason feel safe. But at the end of the day, Mason still might not feel safe. And like, that's something that he has to cope with. And that's not about Cameron, and Cameron has to be okay with that. And so I think there were lots of really beautiful messages about how we handle the trauma of other people, how we can work to not take it personally, and how we can be as supportive as possible, which I really, really loved. I think that's incredibly important for all audiences, but also for a YA audience to get, because they don't get a lot of examples of that. So I really enjoyed this book. I think some of my problems with it, I had a hard time understanding the main characters' dynamics with one another at certain points in the book, just because I think Mason's humor was so dry. Sometimes I thought he was actually trying to be mean, but he was joking, and that was a little unclear to me at times, which is rich coming from me, because historically in my life, when I've tried to be like dry and funny, I've accidentally come across as mean. So like, bold of me to say I had trouble reading him, because I think he and I are very similar in that way. But I also just feel like there was a lot happening in this book. Like, is very impactful, but maybe it could have focused on a little less, narrowed down its focus a little, and just benefited from that, because I feel like we were dealing with sad things from all sides, and that's fair, but like, I don't know, so in some moments it just felt like too much, which life is sometimes, okay? Let's be honest with ourselves. Sometimes life is just too much, but it's hard to describe. I'm clearly not putting into words well the things that didn't make this a 5-star book to me, but I especially think in the first half, I was getting really, really frustrated with how long it was taking for them to put down their walls. They were very insistent that they didn't want the other person to see them for who they were, which, real, but it was just frustrating watching them do that, knowing that they would both be a lot happier if they just let down their guard a little bit. And I know that was the whole purpose of their journey, but there are times when you're like, I totally understand why an author is making this choice, and these characters are still driving me a little batty. And that was the case with this one a little bit, but I really enjoyed it. I also think that one of the characters is maybe Demi. It's not explicitly said as a label on page, but the description of how they feel felt very that. So I loved that representation and the representation in general. Like, I love books where characters are queer, and that's really, like, not a particularly angsty thing about them. These characters had so many problems, but being queer, not one of them that they had to contend with. That was something that they were generally cool with. So I did love that, especially because a lot of stories about star quarterbacks or athletes or whatever that are queer are about the angst of them being queer, not just like, oh yeah, I've been queer this whole time. You walk into this story and I'm headed to ask out a dude. Like, that's what I'm doing. Both of the characters labeled themselves as bi. Loved that. If you want a casually queer book where the characters are queer, but that's not the whole thing about the story, I do recommend this one, but please look at your content warnings before reading. So, secret mission accomplished. Plus 50 points to me. Okay, so that's all well and good. It's a grand reveal, fun time. But isn't there a problem? Because 415 plus 50 is still not 500. But here's the thing. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that all our cool points from this year will count towards the heist. So I added up all my cool points from the year. This means all the cool points earned in episode 2 through, I think, 7, was it? Because episode 1 was technically filmed back in 2024, even though the video premiered in 2025. So episode 2 through 7, I added up those cool points because that's what cool points are for. They're to be awesome and have great reveals. They're to make things extra cool. So 415 plus 50 is 465, and 465 plus 192 cool points is sure over the 500 point mark, meaning for the first year, we won the holiday heist. I don't know if I'll be changing the goal next year or changing the game in some way to make it harder, because that's the thing. It's a heist. There's another year for planning ahead of us before the next holiday heist. But from the end of the first holiday heist, I crowned myself and my accomplice, Blake Pradera, as the ultimate detective / genius. I hope you've had a great 12 TBR seasons, friends. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. What are some things I should consider for Holiday Heist next year? And what was your favorite part of this new game? And subscribe for more bookish and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!